Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Voice for Men India. Joining with us is Dr. Kapil Kakkar today from New Delhi. I'll give you a brief introduction about him to everyone and then we can discuss the topic for today. So, Dr. Kakkar is a psychologist by profession. He comes with a volume of work for the past 25 years. He's also been authors to several books. He used to write for Times of India as a columnist. You would have seen him as a panelist on many TV debates. And particularly, Dr. Kakkar had filed a PIL in the year 2014-15 in the Delhi High Court demanding immediate reforms in the police, in the Delhi police particularly. So, Dr. Kakkar does understand the ground realities when it comes to judicial reforms. And he has also been counseling a lot of people with regards to their child custody cases and others. So, we are going to have a good chat with him today at a macro level with regards to the matrimonial cases and what kind of judicial reforms we can expect or not expect in the future. So, thank you very much, Dr. Kakkar, first of all, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Arnaz. Thank you.
Right. So,
Yes.
to begin with, if you can give us a little brief about how the whole judicial system works, particularly in matrimonial cases. I'm coming from a view where, today's kids, when they come across cases which are going on for last 15 years, 20 years, they are shocked. They don't understand that, why does it take so long for a divorce case to conclude? So, if we can give a little background about how these systems work and why people have to spend so many years in the court, let's begin with that.
Sure. So, in fact, I am quite anti-judiciary as of today. So, 2 years back, I used to call them they are in ICU, but now I believe it is like flogging the dead horse. For me, judiciary in India, especially in family courts, is dead. They are not moving anyway. And that is one of the reason I came up with Black Justice web series, where one of the parts shows a father in despair who has been fighting against his wife and for his children in vain. Now, your question is very relevant. Why does it continue for 15, 20 years? The first and the foremost thing is that whenever the aggrieved party it sends a notice, most of the time the notice goes unanswered. And this basically mostly happens when the husbands, this is what I have seen, when the husbands are trying to send a notice to their wives. That is one reason. Second is I have seen that many a times women, they either leave the country or they shift to another city, right? So in this entire period, so you keep on losing 1 2 years, which would easily happen because the notice and the kind of shuffling that happens, moving from one court to another, it is very common. Thirdly, when you talk about why does it go for so long, is because the judges, they don't understand the sensitivity. For them, they have a thumb rule that this is what Supreme Court has said, but they don't appreciate. Even the Supreme Court doesn't appreciate. Every case is unique. You cannot have a blanket rule for the entire cases. For example, I have had so many cases in which I have seen that the fathers are in despair for a simple reason. They don't know what to go, because even I know that you would also be talking about child custody, but primarily I have seen in child custody cases, fathers are focused on the children, and that is where the entire prolongedness happens, because nobody, especially the mother, is not interested in fact going to the courts also and engaging with the husband. So that is one of the reason. So what if I were to kind of sum it up, it is a, judges are not sensitive. It is B, there are a lot of loopholes. It is C, that you have several cases in going in several courts. 125 in one court, 498 in another court, maintenance, your DV in another court, child custody in another court. So when all these cases are going from one court to another, it becomes time consuming. Also, what happens is, in between, I've seen a lot of spouses, they kind of give up. So when they're giving up, that further prolongs the case because they are not either on this side nor they're fighting. So 1 or 2, 3 years also go into that period of time. So there are several factors, and it will be very very difficult if we can bucket it into 1 or 2 or 3 buckets, saying that these are the only factors. That's what I said, that you don't flog a dead horse because they are not ready to reforms, which are quite apparent and which are quite easy. It's not rocket science. But the question is, since there is no sensitivity, right? Another thing, if you look at the judges, the number of judges already are low. So we have around 24,000 judges in this country, which they are designated, and we would have 18, 19,000 working. So we still have 4, 5,000 vacancies, despite having 5 crore cases. For example, Kolkata High Court, 50% of the Kolkata High Court for last 3 years is working without judges. So you can very well imagine what goes in by the day and every day. Yes, please.
Right. So, I have come across most people telling me who have been in the courts fighting these divorce cases for many years. They say there is no intent for the judges to come to any conclusion. Unless, of course, it's a maintenance case, then prima facie they will see, whatever is the income of the husband, and, that the wife needs urgent money. So they said those cases, they are, immediately giving out orders that this is the per month maintenance you need to pay. But after that, when it comes to concluding the arguments on the actual case, there seems no intent from the judges. And also, in a way, it is kind of an indication telling the parties that please sort it out yourself. Otherwise, you will be struggling in the court for another 2 decades. So we are not really going to give you any order. If you are tired after 5 years, 6 years, please sort out the case and come back to us. Is this the reality, or how do you see it?
No, absolutely. You're absolutely correct. See, the intent of the judges is when they feel that the lady is being victimized, right? That is when it comes to giving them the maintenance part and those kind of judgments, they are very fast on it. I have seen cases without serving the notice. There has been time high courts and lower courts, they have passed the orders without serving the notice. Or normally what happens is, if a notice is served, the other party, when it comes, it normally asks for some time to reply to the yes. So, but I have seen in cases where fathers have come to me, they said we did not even get that time also. The judge, the woman, the wife, she started crying in the court. Something happened, and immediately the orders were made. Now, if you look at it the other way around, I have seen where there is infidelity from the side of the wife, or where the husband is at a receiving end, right? Or sorry, wife is at a receiving end. Judges will go on, even in high court, the judges will go on prolonging it for 1.5 to 3 years. They're not concerned. They are not saying that, okay, we are going to, they are not saying we will not listen to the matter, but at the same time, their intent is missing. Why? Because they feel it's a man. And then, like you rightly said, the mediation is what is normally recommended. And when I talk about mediation, mediation is also being done by the lawyers who themselves are not trained. See, you need to have counselors like psychologists and sociologists who should actually be overseeing the mediation and helping in there. If you have a lawyer in a mediation room, it's a barter. It's more of a barter. For example, the Salman Khan's father, what is his name? He said very beautiful lines. Salim Khan, he said, अपने खुद सुलझा लो, बाहर जाओगे तो लोग सौदा करेंगे. That sauda is not right, because sauda is, what are you trying to do? You are trying to pull down somebody who does not deserve to be pulled down, right? And that is exactly what is happening, that judges are oversensitive towards ladies. And for me, how I see their psychology is, because I know that if they were to give order in favor of the husband, and the husband goes to the higher court, there also the matter will prolong. But if the order is in favor of the husband, I'm sorry, I don't know what I said before, but if the order is in the favor of the husband, which is against the wife, when she goes to the court, she is going to get immediate relief. You know, if the husband is at the receiving end, if the order is against the husband, in that case, if he goes to the higher court, it is going to take ages, but not for a lady. So that is that is another reason why normally you will see judges will give favorable orders for women
Do you
and
also
not for men.
Sure. Dr. Kakkar, do you also think this is because of a lot of media pressure that has been built up in the last decade or so? Because we have seen cases where the judgments, I wouldn't say they are anti women, but obviously the judge would have given the order or the judgment basis the evidence, and which may sound pro man and, anti woman. Now, in those cases, the whole women rights lobby and a lot of people, actually write absolutely nasty things against these judges. There are articles and articles penned against those judges, and some of the times, the collegium doesn't kind of approve their elevation in the system. Do you think this is also one of the reasons that no judge wants to fall in that category of giving any judgment which may seem anti women?
See, there are two ways of looking at it. A, the stance of Supreme Court is very, very clear, and also of the higher court. Everybody knows they are all pro-woman, right? I know several judges in Delhi, both retired and who are sitting in Delhi, and they have openly told me that our case is very simple. We are siding with the woman. Now, what you're talking about is the pressure from outside. I don't think it plays a pivotal role, because since it has already been decided by the Supreme Court that normally women are the victim, and that is what has gone and that is what has percolated down. Now, the lower court judges, see, they are assessed. All the lower court judges especially are assessed on how many cases they have decided, in how much time they have decided, and whether those cases have been overruled by the higher court. So they have this internal point system or assessment system. So no judge personally will like to spoil their own score just because they feel the evidence is there. I'll give you one quick example. The other day, a father came to me with his son, and obviously, for the father wanted to do the assessment, the psychological assessment, be that may. He told me in the Saket court for 1 year, they had gone to a psychologist 2 years back, and they had got the assessment done. The Saket Delhi court did not open that envelope for 1 year. It was a sealed envelope. The envelope did not have anything, whether it was pro father or pro mother. But since the interim order was already decided in favor of the mother, the court decided not to look into it. And when it went to the higher court, is what he told me, the high court, is when the high court was taken aback. How can a sealed cover remain sealed for 1 year in a family matter? So, so these are the kind of things. So again, woman empowerment for me today has become fake empowerment, right? It has become fake empowerment. It's no longer a woman empowerment. In India, now you don't see, especially in a strata and cities like Delhi, Mumbai, South, etc., etc. There's no difference between a man and a woman, right? Even my own daughters, when I speak to them, they would say, "मैं वहाँ गया था," I went there. So there is no this gender kind of communication also. They're communicating with me. So, but this woman empowerment thing is basically for the women of tier 2, tier 3 towns of the villages, yes, who are brutally beaten and who are mistreated. But the advantage of those laws, because of the women who have suffered there, are being taken by the women and ladies in the city. And that is the irony. That is what they don't want to differentiate. That is what they don't decipher and discern. The day the courts and judges they start understanding that you have to look at it from a unique point of view and not a blanket cover, is when and only when things can change.
Right. You very rightly said, Dr. Kakkar, that there are genuine victims of domestic violence, and we cannot deny that. Unfortunately, what happens that because the system is getting clogged with all these frivolous cases where women don't really need the money or any kind of justice, it's more of an ego battle. Now, because of these cases that are piling up, the ones who are genuinely waiting for justice, I mean, they are also getting date after date, and like somebody told me that he was at a court in somewhere in North India, and he and his wife both are very influential, both used to go to the court, and he says I could see the mockery that was going on. And in the same court, there was this one woman who used to come on a bicycle with a dupatta covered on her head. She was a maid working somewhere and a genuine victim of domestic violence. Now she is on par with this wife also, who is wasting the time of these judges. And this poor lady will also get a date after 3 months, 4 months, and she's not going to get any real justice. So how do you see this? I mean, don't the judges see, when they talk about siding with the victims as women, don't they see this injustice happening to the other women who really deserve justice?
Like I told you earlier, they don't want to see it because for them, their own scorecard is important. For them, it is what is more important is they will not give any order in favor of a man because they know immediately the lady, when she goes to the next court, next level, she's going to get an immediate relief. And that is going to be a kind of blot on the judge of the lower court. So that is something, because in black justice also we have shown this, that there are women who are actually in need, but then most of the time it is the other way around. And for me today, ladies in the metros and tier 1 town, for them this is a bonus. Yes, the maintenance is a bonus. They don't want maintenance. It is basically, they are, see, the interim order is in their favor, right? Normally. So that amount they're already getting. They have a house, so they go back to their parents' house and they start staying there. That is also not a problem for them. So the only thing what engages them is, what is it that what is it that I'm going to get more? How much more can I take? So it is that greed. And for that greed, they are normally using children as pawns. And they are quite, and in fact, I'll give you an example. The other day, a case came to me. A man, and, you know how it works. This man, he was negotiating with his wife for a divorce. The wife had an extramarital. They had a son. And now this guy, he thought he's doing a brilliant job, and he kind of negotiated with her, and in 12 lakh rupees, it was done and dusted with. And this is the case of Noida. So it went to Allahabad High Court. Now, the wife had also accused him of unnatural sex and all, right? And it was decided that once it is all over, the wife is going to take back the case. That did not happen. Now, the same thing, now as far as the son is concerned, now see what happens is how women control things. Unfortunately, this son, this son of her was going on weekends to the father, was meeting him as per their settlement and all. But not even once he told him that my mother is getting married again. Right? After 3 months, this guy, he comes to know that the mother has got, that his wife has got married. And this guy was taken aback that my wife, she settled with me. Then he understood why was it that she settled with me for 12 lakh. One more thing. The settlement was very, very straight, that it would be joint custody, right? Both the mother and the father are going to take joint decision. What this lady did, the child was going to Amity Noida school. She shifted the child from that school without the consent of the husband to another school, and the father was helpless. So what I'm trying to say is that things are so bad today, even post settlement. Things are not honored, and it is normally the women who take the cake,
Right.
and men are mere spectators, unfortunately. And it's not
Absolutely.
that these judges don't know, but the question is who is going to build the cat.
True. No, you're very right. Women are kind of having the last laugh because there are judgments from Supreme Court where even the mental cruelty has been proven, by the wife against the husband. Yet the husband has been ordered to pay alimony. So I don't know if this is justice or it's just basically, telling the man to buy his peace after so many years and end the matter. So there is no justice in
See,
reality.
and please understand, even when the kid is there, when there's a child from the wedlock, still the peace is never there, especially for the man. For the lady, it still may be. She would have moved on. The child is on her side. She has that countenance. She has that emotional support, and vice versa. But man is normally left lonely. I've got so many people, these men, they say we want to commit suicide and etc. etc. Because, and they have also in the past. I'm sure you would know much more than me. But the question is why? Because at the end of the day, they get isolated. And it is not, see, please understand. I'm sorry to say that uh, women basically they have such strong weapons. So I'll give you another example. I have loads of examples like this. I'll give you another example. Now this lady, when she had differences with her husband, and so she had these differences, and she went on to prove that he is the culprit within the family members, within the family. The husband family, his mother, his brother's wife, everybody was convinced that their son is a culprit, right? And this woman was having an affair. So to cover her affair, she came up with some
Allegation.
sordid story, etc., etc., whatever. Now, and this guy was again left to his own. Now she must have gone to a lawyer, and the lawyer would have said, in under 498, you will have to cover everybody. So when everybody was covered, is when they all realized that this lady was making a fool out of them. So my point is, it is such a weapon, such a lethal weapon, unfortunately. And suppose, and please understand, if the people at home get carried away and don't side with their son, do you think the judges are going to side with a man in the court?
Absolutely. No,
It
it's
is
a
not
very
easy.
pertinent question. I have also come across many parents, who tell their son ki, these are all small little fights, just adjust with your wife. They don't really understand what the son is going through. And you're right. I mean, how will the judges understand if their own parents are not
See,
ready to accept?
okay. So the book that I've written, yes, this one I don't know if it can. How to Save Heavenly Marriages Being Destroyed on Earth. I think every husband who is having a tough time should give this book to his wife or her parents. I'll tell you why. In this book I have written, if you're going to the court, if you go to the police, cops, your marriage is 50% over. If you go to the court, your marriage is 100% over. Why? Because of. Secondly, you would see normally that this is what I have come across, a family which has sisters, no brothers. There you will see the divorce cases are higher. When there is a brother in a family and brother is married, if the brother is married, then the bhabhi is there, the daughter-in-law of the house is there. She will ensure that her sister-in-law does not come back. So it is a woman playing against a woman, right? So this also I have noticed that when you have only daughters, four, two, three, four sisters, you will see the divorce cases would be higher. At least two daughters would be divorcees. So this is another thing that I have seen. So so there was one more thing. I think I'm forgetting it for now, but once I remember, I like to add that also.
Sure. So we'll come back a little to the whole judicial process, and since we touched upon the child custody cases, uh, what I observe is that it is a very mechanical approach that the judges apply in all the cases. I mean, there is no sensitivity. They are still living in the 19th century, where they think that only a mother is the natural guardian, and only a mother can be the one who can nurture the child well, whereas a father could be best in his role of providing financial security to the child. So, are the judges in 2023, when everybody talks about equality, putting everybody on the same platform, are they even sensitized? Do they even have any basic training how to deal with these cases? Or they just say, mother gets the custody, father makes the maintenance payment?
They are not only mechanical in the way they work, but the entire way of working around is deplorable. Now, so my point was, okay, can you please? Yes. So you're talking about the mothers. So I've spoken to judges, yes, and they say they are natural guardians. So they have come up with this word natural. So, what do you mean by natural guardian? You know biology, you know science. It is the father and the mother. And what does the man do at the end of the day? The man goes out, he earns, and he brings food to the family, he brings lifestyle to the family, thinking his wife is going to take care of the house and the kids. That is what. So, a man is not earning for himself. He's earning for another three, four, five people, including mother, father, everyone. And that is the time, and he goes with that faith that I am leaving my kids with my life partner, जैसे हमारा होता है कि 7 जन्मों का etc etc, and she would protect and she will look after the kids as a mother should, right? So that is the kind of psychology today men have, and that is quite right. But they don't understand in this era of Facebook, Twitter, where people are getting in touch with their old friends, etc., and turning out into relationships, etc., etc. And when they see this, they suddenly see. I have, in fact, to forget this, I have seen children who are 18, 19, 20 years of age who know the mother is wrong. Still, they will side with the mother. So the power of now, there's another reason for it. And so during our times, because at times, we discuss, so I'll give you one example. During our times, we have seen our mothers slog. Yes, there used to be joint family, the servant may or may not be there, and all those. So as men of of our time used to also think, okay, I will not like this to happen to my wife. What I had seen my mother endure, I will not like my wife to endure that. But what does it result in? It results in women showing immaturity today. I had a case. I'm sorry. I since I have so many cases, I keep coming back to this case. I have a case where this man, he comes to me, and for last 1.5 years he was off and on sleeping at his house. His wife used to beat him with the belt, right? He half a time, 15 days in a month, he used to sleep in car. When I asked him, you've been taking all this for so long, why? He said, I don't have any option. I went to the police station and they said, what mess do you want to get into? He said, the cops clearly told me, at the end of the day, your wife is going to win. We'll side. And this guy was a well-built guy. And then, and when I said, when you are hit by a bill, what do? He says, I do nothing. He says, I can't do anything because, and then he said there's a CCTV camera also, and whenever there's a fight, the CCTV camera is turned off by the lady. So, these are the kind of things which are happening day in and day out, unfortunately, in our society. But the judges are in their own world, especially the, I think I'd like to blame the Supreme Court and the High Court. Not many people are blaming them because if you look at their orders, they are mostly seen siding with the woman. They are not taking the right decision when it comes when they see there's a strong case for the men. Of lately, yes, one or two maintenance cases would come that the maintenance has been cancelled or the woman is not getting maintenance and people are very happy and they have hope in judiciary. And I think this is the biggest flaw. Like I said, it's a dead horse. Everybody's flogging the dead horse. And if you want this system to be correct, what you have to do, you don't run. If you want to save the forest, you don't run after trees. Yes, I have seen a lot of people and on my Twitter, etc. also, I see a lot of MRA, guys, people with child custody issue, they follow me, etc., etc. But I see they're all divided. When I say, see, they are not saying that whole is greater than the sum, what Gestalt said. As an Indian, we are very selfish community, unfortunately. हमें अपने से मतलब है. If I make a video 498, I have all 498 people liking it. If I make a video of parental alienation, no 498 will like it. It is all parent alienation guys liking it. And vice versa. For 498, for this, if the marriage is over 7 years, parental alienation people are not interested. So when you are divided at the ground level, just self-consumed with your own things, okay, this I can relate to. Why on earth cannot you relate to the entire system? When I talk about reforms, I don't talk only about judicial reforms. I talk about bureaucratic reforms. I talk about police reforms. I talk about political reforms. I talk about electoral reforms. See, please understand as a psychologist, everything comes from the environment. Environment is given by the government. And the government will only give the environment the way they see the people are behaving and reacting. Why did Britishers rule us? Divide and rule. That is what the government of the day is also doing. And I don't blame the government. When the people down below, parental वालों को उनसे कोई मतलब नहीं, 498 वालों से 490, it's ironical. You both are going to the same courts. You are being taken for a ride by the courts. And you are not interested in helping each other because you think your cause is bigger than the cause of the other person. So unless and until this does not change, judiciary is not going to change because people don't come out on roads. If you would remember what happened in US, America, 2-3 years back when that cop had that black guy, his knee over his neck. Yes, what happened? Within 2 months, the US government had to bring in the law what the people demanded. Do we see that happening here? Look at the wrestlers at Jantar Mantar, they were sitting. What happened? So the problem is when we talk about judiciary is a problem. These people are incompetent. These people, they don't know. See, please understand. You bring a case, and that is what I've shown in web series Black Justice also about dual degree. If I am a judge, I have no background of psychology, I have no training. See, training does not help. A 7-day, 10-day training is not going to transform you. You will not understand the psychology of the child, of the mother, of the father, etc. You need to have at least 1 year of course. And what happens in rosters, you would know, 3 months a judge is in one court, then the other, then from civil he's going to the criminal side, from criminal he's going to some other side. And so the question is, how are they going to learn? When are they going to learn? It is imperative that we have dual degree for these judges. And I think what system was it called before this? The Britishers had, in fact, they still have it when they have that 8, 9, 10 people also sitting besides the judge.
The jury system.
Sorry,
The
jury
jury.
system. The jury system. Correct. Now, even if these people are not competent, they don't want to understand the subject, then you should have something like a jury system, or you should have a psychologist or a sociologist with the same power sitting in the same court
You're
and
saying
giving
basically
a
there should
decision.
be specialization or take advice from an expert in that domain who is
See,
going to.
advice, advice and all is all sham. Taking advice will lead you to nowhere. Why? Because they will come up with some act, some law, and they're going to override. The important thing is they need to have at least 1 year of experience in the subject that they are dealing with. If somebody is dealing with corporates, they should know good about corporates law. Or suppose somebody is dealing in finance, a judge, he should know about finance. They need to know about the subject. Otherwise, they will keep, see, in every court, I don't want to see. I'm not at the cost of being seen as shrewd. When the Shiv Sena matter happened, when this Ambani, or I think there was a matter as far as share market etc. was concerned, I give my verdict what the court is going to do 3 months before what the court decides, because I know these people, they don't have that competence. What is normally the decision? Sort it out yourself. We will give it to the government. Now you take it to the parliament. Most of the Supreme Court decisions you will see are mostly indecisions. They're not decisions. After 6 months, 8 months, what you land up is indecisiveness. And in family matters, the same indecisiveness goes on for years after years after years.
Absolutely. And that's the same with the PILs as well. Somebody was asking me, why don't you guys file a PIL? But we all know what happens to the PIL, it's just ends up nowhere.
Are
And
Anna, I'll give you my experience. I made this PIL in 2014. It took me 1 year, 8, 9 months, and I spent that time only 17,000 rupees on photocopies. 17,000 rupees only on photocopies. And that PIL goes to then Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. It's a double bench, obviously. They see such a thick file, and I had covered policing of right from China to Canada to US to UK to Germany, at that how policing takes place. And I had given them 10 solutions. That matter got over in 2 minutes. What did the court say? We are directing Delhi police to kindly see this and implement whatever they think can be implemented. Finish. So this PIL, etc., is also a big farce. People, I know, I also keep reading people talk about PIL as if PIL is a big umbrella and PIL is going to change. Are judges तो वही बैठे हैं ना आपके?
And as you said, it's also kind of pre-decided, I mean, or, there will be cases where you file a PIL and they will send the notices to the respective parties, so the center or the ministry, etc. And those people will never respond, like there are PILs on shared parenting and it's been there for last 4-5 years, but there is really no response from the stakeholders. So
obviously, I'll take you to more practical aspect of it. Now, I stay in a South Delhi colony, right? So there are a lot of lawyers here. Lot of lawyers. So the lawyer is staying at a place in the colony and his office is in a basement or on a ground floor of a different. So these are all bungalows here, right? Now, the RWA is quite perturbed that they have parking issues in the evenings because because lawyers normally they come back to their offices after 4:30. The clients are seeing them. People have parking issues. There are 3 PILs in the court, in the Supreme Court, regarding this menace, and they're sleeping over it for a simple reason. कल को वो जज को भी तो रिटायर होके वो भी तो एक बेसमेंट में अपना वो ऑफिस बनाएगा एंड ही इज गोइंग टू स्टे समवेयर अराउंड. सो देयर इज लॉट ऑफ एम्पैथी towards each other. And you can't prove it also. I'll give you another reason. The ground reality. The lawyer is staying in a house, right? And he has the Aadhaar card of his office. So technically, it becomes his residence. And in Delhi, 50% of the office of the residence can be used as office. So there, see, you cannot fight judiciary. You can only fight if the government affirms they need to fight it.
Absolutely.
That is why I believe in law of natural justice. ये सब because I'm quite at time I'm dismayed. मतलब जो सुन रहे होंगे वो कह रहे होंगे यार ये क्या आदमी है, what is he talking about? Normally what I have seen is a lot of people they have started doing law, people who have had uh, decisions against them, they have suffered and they want to become a lawyer. They are aspiring to become a lawyer or they have become a lawyer. And after becoming a lawyer, they think everything is going to be fine in the sense now they know. For me, that is not the answer. Like I said, if you want to save, you need to save the forest. You can't run after a tree. And if you want to save the forest, you will have to overhaul the system. And I see a lot of people when they become so, so the other day, I'll give you my one example. I'm sorry, I might look harsh here. My younger daughter told me that I want to become a lawyer, right? So I told her, I said, you need to decide. Do you want to become a lawyer or do you want to stay as a human? The day you become a lawyer, humanity is sacrificed. Lawyers I have seen, see, why I know lawyers so well is because I have many friends as lawyers. At one point of time, I used to also play cricket for the Delhi Lawyers High Court. I was not a lawyer. I used to play a lot of cricket with lawyers. So I know how they think. The emotion, the emotion quotient is zero. There are no emotions involved.
True. Since now we are discussing on the lawyers, and let's put a rider that we can't generalize it for everybody, but it is also a fact, when you speak to these lawyers, they will tell you that don't ridicule us because we are just, doing our work. This is our profession. And like any other profession, we need to be true to what we are doing and whichever client we are representing. Now, somehow the laws are designed in a way, particularly let's talk about the matrimonial cases. There is no definite end to it. There is no deadline. The interim maintenance can be, as long as 15, 20 years. I mean, the whole purpose of the word interim is defeated. But the sole winners in these battles are actually the lawyers who are, getting paid for every date, or people have this package of every year, we will, attend so many dates. If there are more dates, then we'll just send our intern and, take the next adjournment. So do you think this whole ecosystem of lawyers is also one of the reasons why the judiciary or the government, or, they don't want to antagonize this particular lobby? What is your take on this?
So that's a good question. See, we have to understand when we talk about lawyers, in 4 years they are brainwashed, right? Emotions are out of the window. One. Secondly, they are brainwashed to say you need to stand by your client. Whatever it may be, you have to protect your client. That is your dharma, right? But for me, and again, I'm sorry, I'm bringing back this black justice. There also, we have pointed this out. The dharma for a lawyer should not be the client. The bigger dharma for a lawyer is to save the constitution, to respect the constitution. And the constitution talks about social justice. Constitution talks about justice. When you are siding with a client of yours, you know who is on the wrong side. You are manipulating the facts. You are misguiding the court. You are creating evidences. What are you doing to the constitution of this country? You are abusing the constitution. One. Secondly, for the lawyers, this is the best thing that they can do, because when they want to sustain for a long run. I'm sure if you would have heard this old age story where a father and a son, uh, both are lawyers, and the son is a recent, he's become a lawyer, and there's a case which is going for 20 years, and the father asks the son to take that case, and the case is decided in 1 year, and the son very proudly goes back to his father saying, see, what you could not do in 20 years, I did it 1 year. And the father tells him, जो मुर्गी का अंडा जो इतने सालों से दे रहा था, तूने वो मुर्गी को खत्म कर दिया. Right? That is, see, that is where the problem is. Also, another problem, I did a poll on LinkedIn asking people, asking the corporate, the world, that out of these four professions, which one do you think is the most dishonest? Which one do you think you will not rely on? Teachers, chartered accountants, doctors, or lawyers? Vehemently, majority of the people, 80% said lawyers. See, people don't trust them because their own schools have told them that you need to save your clients at any cost. अब आप लॉयर के पास चले जाइए, आपका मतलब है any lady, not a man, a woman. He say, "Acha, this is a problem. Okay, what you do is take a knife, cut your slit, and run to the police station or go to Ames. Get this thing on record." So that is so there are no emotions, and that is what I have also said in my book, How to Save Marriages, etc. That you can't afford the day you go to see, if you go to a lawyer, what is the first thing the lawyer is going to tell you? Next time problem hoga, call the cops. Okay? So he's discharged his duty beautifully. The cops, जब cops घर में आएंगे, पूछा, and the investigation happens, what is the environment of the house? Where have we led the house to? Those cracks will have an indelible effect throughout the lives. So it is very, very easy to say things like this, because at the end of the end, a lawyer knows. I know this by fact. A lawyer knows when once this person has come and he gives him this chabi, call the cops next time. He knows within 1 year this person is going to come back to me to file a divorce case. वो जैसे होता है ना, a shopkeeper, उसको पता है कि ये पसंद आ गया है, and the person is bargaining, and that is why the person has gone out. But they know in half an hour's time the guy is going to come back and buy it. The
In fact,
same
a
thing
lot
is
of women, fall for this trap, because even if there is a minor dispute and they approach the lawyers, as you rightly said, the first thing they will tell them, plant some evidence, bring the police into the house. Now, what they don't understand is the minute they take this action, the husband is never going to cohabit with her. So that is the end of your marriage. And, then it's only a fight at the court and how you're going to settle it. So women also need to be cautious, and there are a lot of false hopes given to women कि हम तो आपका इतना एलिमनी करा देंगे, you will get so many in lakhs, so many in crores. Ultimately, even the woman doesn't get anything. We've all seen, it's all a sham just to kind of get that case with them. So, I mean, I always say that, it is not the husband and the wife, but the lawyers who are having the last laugh actually in these battles.
exact. देखिए, अब now the chapter 2 of this book is says stay away from parents and family advice, and chapter 3 stay away from judiciary and allied bodies. Allied body means your cops. Now, why even parents and why friends? Because these friends normally would say, okay, I know this lawyer, let's go. And so
That's
nobody is going to listen to the other side. Nobody knows the other side of the story. Nobody is going to say, go to a psychologist, go to a counselor, go find out what it is. And both of you have to kind of adjust and adapt and clear your differences. What is it primarily? That you are right and the guy is wrong. And when you go to the cop, then even if you come to a psychologist, etc., then people like us can also not do much in it because you have already
Unless,
broken
there
that
is
trust.
absolute, violence in the house where the man is beating a woman. And I'm talking only in this case, because we know there's no domestic violence case law for men. So I'm only referring to cases where there are women who are genuinely suffering. Of course, in those cases, do approach the cops and all if it's beyond your control. But for a minor fight, which can be resolved by, maybe your families or well-wishers kind of sorting out the differences, or the couple sorting out the differences, you don't really need to run to a lawyer, because the minute you go to the lawyer, for him it's a case. He is going to ensure that, there's, okay, I have to tick mark, I have to get this case in my kitty. So he or she is going to, misguide you to file number of applications, number of cases, and that's the end of the marriage.
Absolutely. See, it is very easy from our perspective if we look at it. A man who is repeatedly in violence, repeatedly means twice, thrice, etc., the woman is justified, to go to the court or to the police. But when there is nothing like this, see what is happening today in the society is, I'll tell you psychologically, in a relationship, the man is working and he thinks everything is in order in family. छोटी मोटी चीजें होते रहती हैं, commotions होते रहते हैं, but overall things are all hunky dory, things are fine. The woman the woman will internalize it. 1 year, 2 years, it takes that kind of time for her to internalize when she starts thinking, I'm not going to stay with this man now. Now the husband does not know. He's thinking we are all together as a family. But the woman, under the influence of her friends and various other things, they decide much in advance. And that is the time it comes as a shocker to a man that how come, and normally you will see in such cases, woman would not women will not show emotions because they're churning and and getting out of that emotional feel has been over 6 months back, and they were just staying and looking for the right opportunity to part ways. But for a man, it comes as a jolt because a man.
There's a real joke on this. So somebody had gone to one of the corporates, to speak about the misuse of laws and all, and there were 20 people, so 16 men and 4 women. And this gentleman asked that, who all know about Section 498A of the IPC. So he said all the 4 women, they put their hands up. They knew exactly what it was. And out of those 16 men, only one man said ki kuch dowry ka hai, shayad suna hua hai. So this is the irony. Men have no clue until, they land up in this mess. While women have, kind of educated themselves with all these laws, and, they have got a lot of awareness.
I'll, yes, I'll give you one example. From this, it reminds me of another case. This gentleman, he comes to me. He's working in a PSU, right? And he's staying away from the family. He's in Delhi, family is in Chandigarh, right? And he thinks that everything is okay, everything is going as per what the. And one day when he goes, he sees the house is locked, the gate is locked, the wife and children are inside. He's not allowed to come in, and the call goes to the cop, and he is in the police station. So my point is very simple, that this entire while this man did not know what was churning, what were the deliberations, what was going on the other side. And that is where the men are unfortunately or fortunately very innocent. Because no man, obviously no couple wants to get divorced, but then it has become today the society, the way it is moving fast forward. The men, like I told you, because the men, out of their love and affection and what they had seen their mother going through, they started taking extra care of their. And obviously, let's be honest, that it is not very easy to sustain the family and the expectations of the family in today's time. Yes. So there are so many cases that unfortunately, this is going on. So today, my point is very simple. Where are we going? What message are we downloading to the children? The children are so because I see a lot of fathers in despair. My son, my daughter, my son, my daughter. But I don't want to sound rude or negative. But at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is your child is going to side with the mother. Why? Because court has already designed it. You don't have the visiting rights, or even if you have the visiting rights, the mother won't let you meet the child.
It
You are
is the
brainwashed.
brainwash, and then the natural emotional bond that a child would develop with whichever parent he or she is staying with. So, as you rightly said, even tomorrow, if the child comes to know that the mother is wrong, he or she will still side with the mother because of the past upbringing and all the emotional attachment that he or she has.
Exactly.
So, that is the
Yes.
sad reality which we can't deny.
So in fact, two days back, there was a call. In fact, I'll not go to in more stories because they're endless. But then that is where I think, as a psychologist, I would see if a father sees the behavior of a child after 2021 is hostile, the father needs to reconcile with the reality. And the same child, I can assure that father, 4 or 5 years down the line, is also going to distance himself or herself from the mother also. Because that is what happens. Yes, if the child is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, a father has to fight it out. And
Yeah,
should not
because those
hope.
are the tender years, so the child can also have those memories and all. But if the separation has been for too long, I'm sure there are cases where the judges will make them sit together in the same chamber, and the father and the child have nothing to talk to each other because they don't know each other.
Exactly. Courtroom के बाहर बिठा देते हैं. And they say, okay, you are 15. And there are cases wherein the child is trained to call father as uncle.
Yeah,
Imagine what goes through and see, the thing is, if we know this, everybody knows it. Are we saying the judiciary, the judges of this country, they are oblivious of it? They don't know anything of it? I don't agree.
right.
But क्योंकि ये गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट्स है, इनको अपनी कुर्सी बचानी है. They are only, they don't, इनको है कि मॉर्निंग टू इवनिंग जाए, काम हो, and that's it. For them, emotions, that is when I said, for lawyers also, you will not see them emotionally attached. Or आजकल, I'm sure you would be knowing this, but just an update, lot of lawyers, husband and wife, they are also seeking divorce.
Yeah,
And the husband lawyer, they are not going to the courts because they know what is going to happen in the court. So it is out of court settlement. But I have a pain in the sense that when there is justice, when there is judiciary, why should there be mediation? Why should there be out of court settlement? If there is out of court settlement, then there's no justice. It's a compromise.
absolutely.
That means
I think
the
that, in
person who,
every case,
yeah,
if they are
sorry.
saying make it compoundable, then what is the point? Because you are just giving a tool to the woman to bring the husband to the negotiating table, and once the matter is resolved, you are saying, "TK, come to the court and get it quashed." So you know, that's not justice. I mean, that is in a way.
See, for me, compromise may be a good umbrella, but it's a poor roof. And see, please understand one more thing, important thing. Why a child normally goes against the father is because when the child sees, whatever age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, when a child sees the judges and the courts are going against the father, subconsciously they accept this fact that father is the culprit because it's an external validation from the judiciary, from the highest court that they understand. Because the father will also tell the child, "Don't worry, the judge is going to." Because father has also posed that kind of confidence in the judiciary.
Correct.
And the same judiciary, it turns in favor of mother. What does the father do? And that is one of the reasons. And then it is going to like a broken record. It is programmed in the child. See, that judge also was against your father. That judge was also against your father. That judge said this thing against your father. तो ब्रेन वॉशिंग की तो जरूरत थी नहीं है. ब्रेन वॉशिंग हैज ऑलरेडी started thanks to your untrained judges.
So even if you see, agar aap bolte ho mediation mein, the father, the husband, wife, and the child, if they are called, they'll never be, in the same room together. So they'll have the husband first having a separate meeting with the judge, and the wife and the child having a separate meeting. So ab wo impression aap kya de rahe ho? Ki, your father is not a part of your family. Your mother is somebody who is with you. Naturally, the child is going to side with the mother.
देखिए इसका भी a there is a solution to this. There is a recourse to this. The judge should ensure. See what happens. Please understand. Normally, that I have seen, the child. So the judge will give a date 2 months from the last order, that on this date call the child, and the child is with the mother. So the judge has given 2 months to the mother to reinforce, threaten, everything. So the solution is, the judge should say immediately call the child, rather than giving that kind of leeway, long rope to the mother to brainwash, etc., the child. And this is what is going to happen then.
No, they are tutored. They are tutored not by the mother, but also by the mother's lawyer. कि आपको क्या बोलना है? Most of the times they say, आप बिल्कुल चुप रहना. You don't have to open your mouth in front of the judge. So all those psychological games, is something we all are well versed with, and unfortunately, that is
Now,
what is happening.
now, Arnaz, you please understand the psychology of a lawyer. Does he not have that moral values for a client? ठीक है, you ensure you want your client to win, but you can't make a child as a tool, as a pawn.
I'll give you a live example. One of the person who was interacting with me, he said that the child was called to the court, and so just before the hearing, they were all in the corridor, and he went up to the child. He said, "Let me talk to my son. Let me have a word with him." First, the mother came and stood right next, to hear what he's saying. Then the mother's lawyer also comes in, and she makes a statement ki, "Oh ho, teri mummy ne to bahut sahan kiya hai. Your father has done so much wrong to her." Now, if this is happening to a child, child is completely brainwashed. What do you expect him or her to believe?
See, we have to appreciate, first, child stays with the mother even if they are staying together. Child is under mother's shadow for at least 12 hours a day, right? And father is working, child is with the mother 12 hours a day, so that natural bond, or that bond, is to happen. Then when the judges and everything goes against him, the father is, see, it is very easy for the child to choose. किसी के साथ, if he is not spending half an hour a day, and किसी के साथ when he is spending 12 hours a day, who will a child side with? That is when they grow 25, 26, 27-year-old is when they realize, and that is the time they will say, okay, you made me disown my father one day. Now, when the wife has come, now I will disown you also.
Right. In fact, I spoke recently to one girl. She's now 23, and she had a lot of things to say. And because now at this age, she realizes, she sees the other side of the mother. So, and also thanks to social media, people are questioning the other side. People are not saying ki believe the woman blindly. I mean, courts mein to alag hi chal raha hai, but at least on social media, young boys today are questioning whether we should blindly trust women, or we should at least understand the other side of the man as well. So
now,
that is happening, and it will take a few more years, I think, for that.
मैं आपको एक चीज ऐड करता हूँ. Where is this country going? हमने सब कुछ बाहर का, हमने सब वैल्यू सिस्टम, कल्चर सब बाहर का लेके आ रहे हैं. There are pockets in Scotland and in Ireland, right, where men, they don't marry. They don't marry because they have seen so much of divorce and so much of things in their family between their parents. They don't marry. वहां पे अगर जज के पास जाते हैं फॉर अ डिवोर्स, you know what is the first question of a judge? Which divorce is this? Is it second, third, fourth? Which one? So it's not कि it's a first, it's a this thing. So it's already taken कि एक तो हुआ ही होगा. Is it a second or a third or what? So this entire phenomenon will not end till the time the government of India brings in reforms in this country.
To that, I want you to give me a concluding statement, because now it's 9 years to Modi government, in fact more than 9 years, and we still have, the cases are just piling up. We are reaching 5 crore pendency. Whoever is in power, they can all make big promises, and they have made certain amendments which have not really impacted, in my opinion. If you have to give one suggestion to this government, what really can be done to see impact on ground? Abhi to you see law minister also, for the last 2 terms. I mean, the law minister comes after 2 years, the law minister has changed. Now again, Mr. Rijuju is also been replaced. So by the time the new guy comes in, understands everything is, kind of starting from zero. So what is your advice to this government?
So my conclusion is very simple. Bring in law of natural justice, which is based on common sense. Have dual degrees for the judges. The judges can only listen to the matters which are in their domain, on what they are educated in the field they are educated with. From these are two very important things. Unless and until this does not happen. Lastly, again, sounding arrogant, I can show it to you also in 2014, 15 or 16, I think, when Prasad was the law minister, I had written to the PMO saying if you want reforms in this country, you need to have a law minister who is not an advocate. क्योंकि ये तो see, there's a lot of reverence, there's a lot of they bar and everything. It is all naturally they kind of connect. And I was very happy whenever Kiran Riji was, because he was not from a law background.
It was coming from
And
very
that
fresh
is,
approach, fresh
and
perspective.
I was very happy that day. I said, now this guy, at least he does not have that kind of, that created respect, etc., whatever you may call it. And that guy was for me showing some spine somewhere, जो बहुत नहीं भी कर रहा था, पर जो पहले के लॉ मिनिस्टर से आपके यार कपिल सिब्बल बन चुका है, जेटली, हाउ मेनी लॉ मिनिस्टर, राम जेठमलानी, दे आर ऑल लॉयर्स. Why will they not want to protect their own interest? So here you have, now again you have a law minister who has a law degree. So for me, till the time you don't have a law minister who does not have a degree of a law, then only some changes can take place. Otherwise, we all will be fooled and we will all go, continue moving in the circle.
Right. But the way things are going on, I don't know whether the current generation has any hopes for expecting overnight changes in the system. But surely, I think these kind of videos, the kind of experiences that you have been sharing, will guide a lot of young people who are watching this. And maybe we may also become a country where the youth doesn't want to marry at all. Because right now it's a trap. If you're married even for one single day, you're trapped for entire life. So I think awareness is the key, and everybody needs to take that call very very subjectively, what he or she wants to do in life in their personal matters. So I on that note, I really want to thank you very much, Dr. Kakkar, for spending such a long time and giving us your valuable inputs on the system, how it works. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Arnaz, for inviting me. God bless. Thank you so much.
We hope you liked the video today and were able to get some knowledge out of all the experiences shared through the video. For more such interviews, please do subscribe to YouTube Voice for Men India. And also, you can follow us on our social media handles, that is Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, Instagram, at the rate Voice for Men In. And please do not forget to hit that bell icon below so that you can be updated the minute we broadcast a new interview. If you wish to support our work, the link for the same is always available in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for spending so much time and supporting our work as always. Namaste. Jai Hind.